Do you know the risk factors for type 2 diabetes? Or what makes it more likely you or someone in your life might have the disease? With type 2 diabetes playing a growing role in the lives of so many, you need to know. In Project Power, a community program from the American Diabetes Association is here to help. Take our risk test today at diabetes.org/projectpower. You can avoid the risks of type 2. Project Power will help.
In a world where everyone was forced to leave the comfort of their homes to get drinks, one hero emerged. Its name was Drizzly, the #1 app for alcohol delivery. And it allowed everyone to compare prices on the biggest selection of beer, wine, and spirits and get them delivered in under 60 minutes. All they needed to do was download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com to take destiny in their hands. Dun dun dun.
Hello and welcome to Bastards and Broken Things, a podcast dedicated to House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, and A Song of Ice and Fire, brought to you, of course, by the lovely people at Fan Critical. Every week we come to you, our lovely listeners, straight after watching the latest episode, and we give you our unfiltered, unsullied thoughts on said episode and what our initial reactions are. Now, as you all know by now, I could not do this alone. Throughout the history of Westeros, there have been many knights and lords who have relied upon their squires. Dunk had Egg, Tyrion and Brienne had Pod, and I have little Gareth. Hello, little Gareth.
Hello, little Len. Yeah,
large Len.
I would
anything,
say.
So.
Well, yes, from my perspective, maybe. Average Len to everyone else. I would say that yes, there's a clear power dynamic in all those examples you gave. We're more like a Robb Stark and Jon Snow, equals.
Which one of us is? Anyway, we won't get into spoilers for Game of Thrones, but anyway.
I think
I was going to, and then I was like, some people might not have seen it.
I think we've done a few already.
Mad.
Yeah. Ned Stark's come up a few times, I remember.
Oh, we just spoil everything. If you haven't watched Game of Thrones, what are you doing listening to this? And go back and watch that.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Anyway,
that one's actually good.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Well,
just kidding.
Obviously, last week, we sort of across the whole board of everyone involved in the podcast felt that it was the weakest episode last week.
It was rubbish.
Of the season. And we highlighted why we felt so, and we highlighted like several things. It made no sense for characters, like Rhaenys not burning them all at the end made zero sense. Zero. And like it's become a thing on the internet. It's not just us that think it is a thing. So I want to get your thoughts on this episode though, Gareth, and whether they have returned to form. Episode 10, titled The Black Queen. Of course, we cannot score this episode. That is saved for the deep dive. But what are your initial thoughts on this episode?
I think, watching this one has made me even more confused about last week's episode. It's almost like it was a different show. It was different people involved in writing it and creating it.
Totally. Yeah.
In a way, it's almost like a similar setup. Like last week was kind of the reaction to the news of Viserys within the Red Keep, right? And then this one is the reaction to that and the initial kind of crowning of Aegon within the halls of Dragonstone. And so there is that kind of that similarity in terms of, obviously they're different places, but in terms of the setup, right? They handled it so differently. It's mad. Like the start of this episode I mean, we'll get onto it in more detail shortly, but the way that it was done, it just felt so kind of anxiety-inducing. Like, I was like, oh my God, what is happening? I felt breathless watching it. And the characterization of everybody, the development of everyone as an individual character and somebody that you care about it's night and day how that was handled.
Yeah, chalk and cheese.
Chalk and cheese.
Chalk and cheese. And for any book readers out there, blood and cheese. That's for another season. But what I will say is, I can't agree more. I can't believe this is the same show.
Yeah.
Anyone who was defending last week's episode and said it was good, what do you think of this episode? You must think this is the best thing ever made.
Because compared to
what was shown last week, like, I actually give a fuck about the characters in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, and some people might say that, this episode's got the big set piece at the end. And yes, it does. And it is amazing. But the last episode, in my opinion, the Green Council scene where they're deciding how to basically commit treason and how they're going to do it methodically is one of the best things in the book. And it's one of the things they could have adapted the best. And they fucked up the whole episode by doing these random things that just didn't need to be expanded upon.
And little Xena warrior princess style adventures. Like
both episodes could have been fantastic because, like you said, one's on the greens and one's on the blacks, and it's all this self-contained thing, and it's like that air of, oh, what's going to happen? We don't know what the other side is thinking, kind of situation. That's really interesting. And this episode was just everything about it. The way it was shot, the music was absolutely haunting
unreal.
and fantastic.
The music was so good.
I thought the music in this episode was the best of the season by a mile. It made me uneasy. It was beautiful. It was tragic. It was scary. It had everything in there. The way it was this episode was shot was completely different to last week's. Like lots more character-driven moments of no dialogue.
Yeah.
Just looking at characters, which I felt was very powerful. You've also
we have criticised that in the past, but yes, this is very different to the funeral.
But this was good.
Yeah.
This was good. And let's just jump right into some hot takes because we can't score the episode. But I'll tell you right now, listener, this is easily the best episode of the season. Hot take number one. And this is going to sound like a negative, but in some ways it's a positive, but in some ways it's a negative. So just bear with me, dear listener. How much is too much with these labour scenes? Yeah. Now, I think by my count, we've had 4 birth scenes this season now, 3 of which have been very, very hard viewing. And I'm all for the realism of, understanding, trying to get across that point that childbirth is at this time in this world or whatever, in this setting is perilous. It's, it's the woman's battlefield, Gareth. They said that in the first episode. Yeah. That's their battlefield because it's as deadly as war. But it was, this was probably the one that went the furthest. And, I got quite emotional watching this. Because some of the visuals were just too much for me, my sensibilities these days. But at the same time, I'm trying to make this sound like a positive as well. I felt it was very effective.
At what, though? So this is my issue with it. Is I'm not sure what it added. I know what you're saying. This is reality, and reality is that you're almost a coin toss in terms of deciding what the outcome of childbirth is in this setting, right? And it's brutal, and that is a reality, and it's a tough thing. But I don't get what it added to this episode to see that. I think this is too much, and I don't think. I mean, it's definitely changed since having a kid. I tell you,
definitely.
That it affected me so much more than I think I've ever been affected by anything like that on TV. I thought this was too much, and I was disappointed it was shown. Like, I thought poor form, poor choice, and I thought, I'm sure this will have like relevance, and maybe it does. Maybe it's representing something, or
it does,
or it's
and it is
symbolic. But I don't need to see it. I don't think we need to see it.
Yeah. In the book, and I'll go into it in a deep dive with John. We'll talk about this miscarriage or stillbirth in more detail, and how it relates to events that are going on simultaneously, and how we're not saying there's magic involved or anything like that, Gareth, but Targaryen's magic is sort of bound to their blood.
Sure.
And it's quite interesting how when certain events happen, sometimes tragic events happen as well. They're very in sync with certain things. So we'll get into that on the deep dive, because we've got a lot to get through. Do you want to go for the next hot take, for hot take 2, Gareth? You want one from your little list?
Yeah, all right. This is from the very start of the episode, but will also take us immediately to the end, I think. But I will say this: I had that sinking feeling as soon as the episode started that old Lukey boy was doomed.
Poor old Lukey boy.
He's a lovely kid, such a sweet boy, sweet prince, and
yes,
him standing there being a bit scared and not wanting Driftmark, and his mum being just a nice mum.
Yep,
I was like,
wholesome,
fuck,
wasn't it?
He's gone. He's a goner.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think Jacaerys, Lucerys, and even little Joff, we haven't heard a word from yet. They come across as the sweet ones, don't they? They're called the strong boys, but they're very sweet and they're very earnest, and they feel like those sort of characters that you really root for, like the Starks.
Yes.
Or like they've got those honourable qualities, and unfortunately in this world that doesn't always mean that you make it through. So it's tragic, because it's just we'll get on to the end of the episode, but that is it was heavily signposted throughout this episode that something was going to happen to him. Like I don't think anyone got to the end of the episode and was like, oh my goodness, I didn't see that coming. I think they were like, oh, I need that. Like, even Mel, when she was watching it, turned to me and goes, well, he's not coming back, is he?
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't know what to say to that. I was like, can you just watch the episode, please?
I think I will question the wisdom of sending him. I just not with these.
You got to think, and this is what's really interesting from, and we'll get into it now, I guess. From her perspective, the Baratheons are. It's not even a question of their loyalty. So, because they share blood with the Targaryens, the Baratheon house is, they on Princess Rhaenys' side. So, and Boros Baratheon, we even saw her at his court earlier this season, like years ago. I'm talking like 15 years ago in the timeline. So there's no question in their mind. They're just like, just go check these guys are all right. That's why she sends him there, because she's so confident. So
maybe she should have also said,
surprise.
Just as a heads up, if you see a massive dragon when you're there, just leave. Yeah. But also she thinks she might have bought them some time, because she said, look, I'll give King's Landing a message tomorrow, kind of situation. You know what I mean? Yeah, true.
So there's a lot at play here. But also, the kids want to get involved, and they're not kids in this world. They're 16 and 14-ish years old. I mean, the age question again, but that's some kids are getting knighted at that age. Daemon was a knight at 16, Jaime at 15. That they step up in this world. You know what I mean? So it's good.
Tired of long waits and rushed care at the ER and urgent care clinic? Next time, stay home and let Dispatch Health bring the power of the hospital to you.
I call Dispatch Health. A care team of medical professionals actually come to your house.
They're the same caliber of people that you would see if you were at a hospital or an urgent care.
Dispatch Health can treat most non-life-threatening emergencies.
They can do the x-rays, they can do stitches.
Urinary tract infections, blood test, urinalysis, ultrasound.
It's almost everything that they can do at the ER.
You never feel rushed. They're there for you and only you.
I felt like their only patient.
And it costs no more than a trip to urgent care because Dispatch Health is covered by most insurance, including Medicare. See if we serve your home at dispatchhealth.com.
Dispatch Health really went above and beyond.
It's wonderful to have care come to your home.
House calls are back, and they're better than ever. Learn more at dispatchhealth.com.
In a world where everyone was forced to leave the comfort of their homes to get drinks, one hero emerged. Its name was Drizzly, the #1 app for alcohol delivery. And it allowed everyone to compare prices on the biggest selection of beer, wine, and spirits and get them delivered in under 60 minutes. All they needed to do was download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com to take destiny in their hands. Dun dun dun.
To send them, I just think obviously tragedy strikes.
Send him with someone then. Like, I mean, it is a bizarre solo mission. Like, there is no need for him to be on his own. He could have had to.
Well, they're confident with the dragon situation, aren't they? I mean, Arax is tiny.
He's a little.
So I'll go on to hot take 3, and which is about Rhaenyra showing restraint. And I've put here that she's a much more measured leader than rapey Aegon and the Greens.
Rapey egg.
Rapey egg.
All hail rapey Aegon, the first of his name.
Aegon the Raper.
Yeah.
That's what they should call him. Jesus Christ. You know, it's. I've put here that if events hadn't happened at the end of the episode, the whole history of the Targaryen race Targaryens might have gone differently. Even though Daemon is thirsty boy for war, I've written in my notes, and he
thirsty
is
boy.
Thirsty.
He is thirsty.
I really like Rhaenyra in this episode. I think she's so on point. She speaks like a good leader. She commands respect. She even like quells Daemon and his warlust. And I thought she was fantastic. I thought, I think once again, if you compare Rhaenyra's character to that of Alicent, and now I think Olivia Cook's doing a great job as Alicent, but Rhaenyra's character to me feels I understand her.
Yes.
I know her. Even after the events at the end of this episode, at this stage in the story, I am behind whatever she chooses to do. And that to me is good writing. I understand her character. Like, she's not going to randomly do something. Like, obviously, war's going to break out now because of what happens at the end. But I expect that. Like, that's just fucking normal. They killed her son.
Yeah.
Like, and it was meant to be, just treating with people. It's just messenger. So that end shot of her where she looks determined reminds me a lot of Midsummer, Gareth. Like the end shot of Midsummer. But instead of smiling, she's like fucking raging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With Florence Pugh. So I really like Rhaenyra this episode. You reckon? You like her?
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, I did write, one of my hot takes was just Rhaenyra's look at the end. Like,
yeah,
it's on.
Yeah. Oh, it's on. It's on now. You killed a sweet boy.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's such a sweet boy.
Yeah.
But
sweet summer child.
He really is. But yeah, she's ace. I do think Damon had a point. Like, come on, you. I know. I think you maybe implied that potentially she was just trying to buy time when she said you'll have my answer tomorrow. But I think actually she was considering it. Like, she's considering going. Do you know what? Just to.
Oh, definitely. I think there's a part of her that's like, trying to be the good leader. And I'm not going to say, what happens in the future or anything like that, but, her characters change and they evolve and they, situations shape who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
I will say that, look, I think war's inevitable. I think she just doesn't want to do the first strike. Because it's the same with anything that in the history books that will go down as, their fault Do you know what I mean?
I do.
She's
but
war's probably coming, but we're not going to fucking make the first blow.
No, but
do you understand? We are trying to be of reason here.
I get that, but and whatever, like in the future, whatever. She's justified in doing whatever, right? Like they killed her son, and
yeah,
but I do think that if that hadn't happened, there is a strong chance that she would have sent a raven and said, "Yeah, all right, no worries, King Egg, enjoy it," right? Because she wants to protect the realm. And to do that, she'll take a step back. And I think that's a step. I think that's too far. I think that is too far in terms of restraint.
It's one of those we'll never know.
No, I suppose not.
Quite, one of those. She might have, but unfortunately, events transpire where that doesn't happen. So that will lead us on to the next hot take, Gareth, which is I'm sure it's on your notes as well. So I'm just saying it for you. Okay. It's our first dragon battle.
Yeah.
Now, I have been worried for some time that this show might fail when it gets down to the dragon fights because the CG at times has been bad, I think, personally, and I think they need to put more money into it, and I think they need to put more time and care into it. I think it's looked a bit stunted and fake when they're riding the dragons. But my fears have been eased.
Do you think they...
with this absolutely fantastic dragon battle.
Do you think they scaled up the budget?
I would say that is a very good pun.
Thank you.
And I'm trying to think of another one.
Yep.
And I can't.
Something.
If John was here, he'd be here.
Something about fire.
He'd be here. What about fire and that?
Maybe they fired the old CG. Anyway, carry on.
Good, that one. Yep. Yeah, anyway. Good. It's good as well. I thought this looked so much better than my imagination. I knew this was coming. When me and John alluded to why we think this episode could automatically be brilliant, it's because this whole scene and everything about it is amazing. Now, Vhagar looks fucking massive, and I've written in my notes Godzilla-like. Like it, like with the lightning and stuff. It's like that reveal, like of the new Godzilla movie. Before it goes to shit with all the other monsters, but like where you wait like half the movie to see Godzilla. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then when you see it, like, oh my fucking god, it is massive. Yeah. And Vhagar, because it's a girl dragon, the biggest in the world.
That was a gill dragon.
That was a gill, innit? You checked its bits. No, it's just a girl, innit? It looked amazing coming through the lightning and the smoke and the clouds. Yeah. It was just terrifying. Yeah. I thought it was terrifying. Yeah. And poor little Arax didn't stand a fucking chance.
Torn into bits.
I messaged John, actually, and I said, I thought the dragon getting mushed into bits was a bit much, wasn't it? He goes, well, what do you think was going to happen? And I was like, yeah, but it's a bit much, wasn't it?
That was hard to watch. There was a bit of me that was like, they didn't show Lucerys. Maybe he's just swimming around. Maybe he'll swim to safety.
Oh, what? Yeah, from that height. I think they find his body in the book, or is it one that they don't recover? I can't remember. But like, there is a question like, how did they know that he's dead? Do you know what I mean? There's that sort of question.
Quick question for you.
Go with it.
Obviously, Daemon goes and does a bit of dragon hunting himself and finds a fucking massive one. Do we know who that is? Vermithor. The
second largest dragon in the world. Ooh. The old dragon of King Jaehaerys. And the thing that people don't realise, we'll get into this as a deep dive, is Dragonstone is actually a place where just
dragons hang out.
Dragons who have hang out. Yeah, they've had no rider for a while. Their old rider might have died.
Like an orphanage.
Or there are some dragons who are just wild and haven't been tamed or claimed yet. So the blacks being on Dragonstone is a huge advantage if they can tame some of these dragons. It's interesting that Daemon's trying to tame Vermithor because he's already got Caraxes. So I'm interested to see how that develops. But yeah, that's a good question, guys. What did you think about, this is the last point and it's still on the hot take, but what did you think about Aemond essentially killing Lucerys by accident.
Ugh.
What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah.
Because he's like, oh, Vhagar.
Vhagar, stop it.
Vhagar, no, listen to me, Vhagar. Listen to my bidding.
It makes me think... I'm starting to find Aemond a little less cool than I did after we first saw him as Big Aemond. Do you know what I mean?
The sapphire thing was cool.
The
though,
sapphire thing was fucking cool.
That was wicked.
I was like, what? That's mad. That's so cool.
Looks awesome.
Why has he got a patch on? Just keep that out all the time.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
But I don't. To me, the impression that he gave, you know, when you and I were like raving about him, like we sort of fell in love with him a bit, as an excellent kind of evil character. But the impression that he gave initially to me was that he was super unbelievably in control and measured and had everything planned out. That's what it seemed like. Like he knew what was going to happen. And I'm just getting the sense now that that's not the case. He's tried to be a little bellend, and it's gone out of control. And then rather than being sort of launching into it and being like, yeah, whatever, I'm Aemond, I can do what I want, he's like, oh no, come on, stop it, dragons. And he just came across a little bit lamer than I've thought of him.
We'll get on to in the deep dive about why it's whether or not it's an accident, or how that relates to his character in the book and all that sort of stuff, because I think it's very interesting what they've done here. I think, to make this seem like an accident for me makes it. Look, it doesn't just diminish from the episode. I love the episode; it's amazing. It just annoys me with the Aemond's character because make him ruthless.
Yeah,
like, he's just killed this kid.
Exactly,
right? That is him. That's fine. You don't have to make. He's a complex character, but he's not. You don't have to make him so complex. Like, oh, I didn't want to do that. Like, no, you've been wanting to kill that kid for like 10 years.
Exactly.
Genuinely.
Exactly my point.
And you would have, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So just go with it. Have the confidence to go, no, Aemond is that character. That's okay. That is okay. We are allowed to like evil characters. Not every character has to have a shred of decency for us to cling on to. Do you know what I mean? There's characters we love to hate. Cersei, Joffrey, these other Ramsay. They're fantastic characters, and some people love the scenes with those characters in them, but they hate the characters. Yeah. That's okay. Anyway, we'll get onto that more in the deep dive. But I thought, as is tradition, we come to you with our unsullied thoughts. But overall, I think we both agree this is a fantastic episode.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
And wow, really excited for season 2 now. So happy to put last week's episode behind us and be on the front foot. The gas pedal is down and we are accelerating into the Dance of Dragons, which I think we can safely say has now officially begun. I want to thank my trusty squire Gareth for joining me on this hot take. He will be in the deep dive as well this week. We're going to have all of us in there, hopefully. And that will be out in the next few days, and we'll get into all of these juicy tangents there. Thank you, dear listener, and we will catch you in the deep dive. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tired of long waits and rushed care at the ER and urgent care clinic? Next time, stay home and let Dispatch Health bring the power of the hospital to you.
I call Dispatch Health. A care team of medical professionals actually come to your house.
They're the same caliber of people that you would see if you were at a hospital or an urgent care.
Dispatch Health can treat most non-life-threatening emergencies.
They can do the x-rays, they can do stitches.
Urinary tract infections, blood test, urinalysis, ultrasound.
It's almost everything that they can do at the ER.
You never feel rushed. They're there for you and only you.
I felt like their only patient.
And it costs no more than a trip to urgent care because Dispatch Health is covered by most insurance, including Medicare. See if we serve your home at dispatchhealth.com.
Dispatch Health really went above and beyond.
It's wonderful to have care come to your home.
House calls are back, and they're better than ever. Learn more at dispatchhealth.com.
From 3 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, Buffalo Wild Wings Happy Hour has beer, cocktails, and bar food for $3 to $6. It's the perfect way to offset a long day. Text that hilarious joke about your boss to your boss. What? No. Try a $4 Coors Light Tall. Set your morning alarm for 6 p.m. That calls for $5 strawberry margaritas. So if you ask your phone why you're still single and... Seriously? Head to Buffalo Wild Wings Happy Hour from 3 to 6. At participating locations, taxes and fees apply. Dine in only. Drink responsibly. Offers vary by location. Void where prohibited.